Borough come away from another game against Coventry where we once again get beat and don't have a goal to even show for it. Can we stop playing Coventry now, please?
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
What is up, guys? Matthew here. Welcome to another episode of Project Borough. And you know what? I don't even know why I'm surprised or even bothered or, even that deflated. We've come away from a game against Coventry where once again we've struggled to create, we've struggled to score. Why am I surprised? I predicted this would happen, but obviously it's not good to see your side, lose a second game of two. And on face value, the stats a grim viewing for Borough at the moment, but I feel like when you dig deeper into this result and the current squad, there's certainly reasons to understand why we're in the position we're in and why we are hopefully making steps towards improving and going in the right direction. But looking at this from a top-down face value sort of view, Borough have lost both of their opening games, and that's not happened for the first time since 2007. We've not scored in either of them, and I believe we've had 2 shots on target in total in both games. Also, we've not won any of our last 7 competitive games going back into last season, and we've only scored in 2 of them. You look at that stats, and you also look at one I pulled up and I saw during the game that I took a picture of. I can't recall it word for word, but the attacking stats from Borough under Carrick from his first, 27 games compared to the last 6, and then including this one, are also incredibly grim. So there is no getting away from the fact that we are on a dreadful run, a really poor run where things are just not going for us at all. But this wasn't a 3-0 for me, and I'll get into the goals in more detail, but this was not a 3-0 performance. I think there's certainly areas of this game where Borough were absolutely terrible and dreadful, and it was a real worry to see. But then there were also periods where Borough looked better, a lot better than what they did against Millwall last week, and either the timing of the goals against us or the cause of the goals against us were just really unfortunate. Because for me, 2 of Coventry's goals today were very fortunate, and there was a gilt-edged chance at 1-0 which Borough missed. If they score that, it's 1-1 and it's a different game. And I'm not saying Borough would have wanted to win the game, but we could have at least got something from it. And I know what people will say, they took the chances we didn't. 100% the chance we missed was absolute gilt edge, and they took the chances that come to them, whether it was lucky, whether it wasn't. And I think the way I look at this game as, it's not the end of the world, of course it isn't. A lot of Borough fans think that we're going to get relegated and Gibson's got to leave the club and all this bollocks. For me, these 2 sides were neck and neck at the end of last season, and this has shown, I think, as black and white as it can get, where Coventry have gone to and where we need to go to and the work we need to do. And we already knew after the Millwall game last week, there's plenty of work to do in this Borough team, and it was highlighted even more so here. But I think as a measuring stick, this has shown that we're 2 sides that were very close together last season. One has gone in a different direction, lost Gyökeres, lost Hamer, still found ways to score and replace them and improve and invest. Borough are still in the process of doing that at the moment and still have a couple of weeks to do that, which hopefully will mean by the end of the window we'll be in a position where we've got players actually playing in the right position, and hopefully that will bring results. Because again, you look at the Borough side and it's so unbalanced and mismatched, lacking in quality, and we simply have to bring the players in, and we are in the process of bringing them players in, which is a relief. So looking at the game then, looking at the goals, looking at it from one half to the other, I actually thought Borough started alright. I think first 10 minutes we seemed to settle quite well, we looked decent on the ball. Again, when you look down the wings, you look down full-back, look up front, there's still clearly a lack of cohesion. It was still very disconnected. It still is far from the fluent Borough that it was last season. But we looked better until Coventry got their opening goal. And there's maybe a few small errors in which Borough could have improved here, but I think there is a huge degree of luck to this goal, and Borough, Carrick, cannot be blamed for that. The ball comes in from down the right-hand side. I can't recall who it is who took the shot, But the one thing I will say is I think Hayden Hackney has to come out and close down the shot a little bit quicker. But regardless of even if he does, it's going to get deflected, and unfortunately it gets deflected right in the path of Matty Gordon, who is a yard or two away from the centre-backs, who could they have stepped in front and foreseen that the ball was going to deflect to Gordon? You could say that, but at the same time, they're probably anticipating that the ball is going to be shot at Dieng, who's going to save it, and they need to be as close to the keeper to react to try and get the second ball and clear it. So I'm not going to blame the centre-backs for not being right on Gordon's shoulder. They're probably anticipating that the ball is going to either head to Dieng or head on goal, and they're going to have to either block it or clear it, and obviously it didn't. The deflection could not have fell any better towards Matty Gordon, and you know, you've got to credit him for the finish. It's a very good instinctive finish in at the far corner, but there is a degree of fortune as to how it got there, that's all I will say. But despite Borough, I think, undeservedly going 1-0 behind after 11 minutes, from then on, the rest of the first half was shocking. The lack of effort and intensity, it looked like the players' heads had dropped. There was no confidence, no cohesion, just disconnects all over the pitch. And again, I think it was really highlighted that Carrick got his team selection wrong. And I'll go into the team and the players in a bit more in depth in a moment. But the rest of the first half was really, really poor. There was a real concerning moment when Silvera broke forward into the Coventry half and he was trying to take on 3 Coventry defenders on his own. He only had Morgan Rogers up front with him. There wasn't a single other Borough player within the postcode. Not one midfielder busting a gut to get forward. No fullbacks. You might have had Giles on the left last season. You might have had, I don't know, Jones might have been busting a gut last season. There was no one trying to get up to help him. And the lack of desire was a real concern. And you know, you can transfer in and out players, you can increase the quality of players in certain positions, but you can't transfer effort, you can't transfer desire or the urgency to just get forward and try and make something happen. It just again was so flat and lethargic and really, really poor. And we went in 1-0 down, and to be fair, heading towards half time, I was relieved we went in at half-time 1-0 down. I felt like we were just waiting to concede a second, so we were really, really fortunate to go in at half-time 1-0, and I was hoping Carrick was going to give them an absolute bollocking, and I think he did, because second half we were a lot better. There were still clear areas where we've got the wrong players in the wrong positions, and Coventry were still having a lot of joy in some areas, and Borough still didn't have the quality in some of our areas, but we looked a little bit more forward thinking, we were a little bit quicker on the ball, the passing was a little bit zippier and a little bit slicker, and we were looking like we were improving and getting into our rhythm. And again, a bit like against Millwall last week, we were just about getting into our gear until something went wrong. I will say there was a glaring opportunity at 1-0, and this simply has to go in for me. It simply has to. But Morgan Rogers wins the ball on the right-hand side, and I'll get onto him when we talk about the players in more depth. And he squares the ball to Sammy Silvera, who I've had nothing but praise since he come to the club and everything he's done so far. But he has to score from there. He has to score. He's leaning back. I don't know what he's trying to do, why he's not trying to just keep his body over the ball, side foot it, keep it low into either corner. He's trying to, I don't know, put it over the keeper. I don't know what he's trying to do, but that is a gilt-edged chance that has to go in. You know, Borough were getting on top at that point. That goes in, it's 1-1. It's a different game. Like I said earlier, I'm not saying Borough want to win that game or what, but that has to go in, and that was a glaring chance Borough missed in a game where we weren't creating much at all. And just when, you know, as well as that, we were still on top, we were still pushing, we still looked like we were trying to get places, Coventry got a second goal. And this is probably out of their 3 goals the one that I think was deserved. There's no doubt Coventry deserved a goal, and there was no luck to it. There was a corner from the left-hand side, it ricochets off Hackney, Wright is in a ton of space, and it's a great finish. There's nothing else you can say about that. Again, a bit like the Millwall goal last week, it's the perfect goal at the perfect time, and just when Borough seemingly were getting back into the game, they concede a second, and it's game over at that point. You know, we were looking like we might nick a goal. We were never ever going to score 2, and from that moment onwards, it was game over for me. And even though we kept trying to, you know, create, we brought players off the bench, it's clear Borough just don't have the right players there at the moment to break through some of these teams that we're coming up against, and Coventry made it 3 in the 91st minute, which was the most fortunate goal you're ever going to see. I'm not even going to really consider this in any way or get too upset about this. Godden on the right, it was a cross. And of course, it deflected off Lenihan. Could have gone absolutely anywhere. It goes in the back of the net. Sums up the game, sums up Borough right now. Nothing Dieng could do. And again, 2 goals that Coventry have scored that Borough just couldn't do anything about. And it is what it is. And we finished the game 3-0. It was never a 3-0 game. But, you know, there were certainly large periods of the game where we were not good enough. And when we did get the chances, we didn't take them. It's as simple as that. So looking at the team, once again, one thing I will say about Carrick is he got the starting 11 wrong. I will say that. Dieng in goal, of course, as you'd expect. The back four, unfortunately, picks itself right now. We've not got anyone else to come in. We are in the process of signing a left back who is imminent. Lucas Engel is incoming, thankfully, and Paddy McNair is on the right. And it's obvious, as I said last week, we've not got the quality, we've not got the right players in at full-back. McNair's not a full-back, you could tell this by the Coventry game. We need to get Smith or Dijksteel back ASAP, and Coulson, for all his effort, isn't good enough. And that position simply has to be improved upon. So I'm looking forward to Engel coming in, and hopefully, as well as having a better left-back defensively, he'll provide us something going forward, because, you know, we have absolutely nothing attack-wise going down either side. We had Giles last season, but this season we're playing way too central, way too narrow. The fullbacks are completely non-existent going forward, so I can't wait to see him signed. Hackney and Barlasser, again, a bit like against Millwall, they're trying to play through a team who are defending very, very well in the centre of the pitch, and they struggled to have much of an influence on the game again. It was another frustrating day for the both of them. You could argue once again when Howson come on, we looked good. Is it the game for Barlasser? I'm not sure, but again, midfield just couldn't cut through the Coventry midfield today, and that was without Gus Hamer. And then up front, he had Silvera on the left. He huffed and puffed, wasn't his best game, should have scored. Isaiah Jones did not look good enough on the right-hand side. His touch didn't look good. He did play one good ball in the first half into Hackney, who scuffed his shot, but again, down the right, Isaiah Jones still doesn't look like the player he once was, and still is lacking any kind of quality and threat down the right-hand side, which looked, poor, and it was easy to defend against from a Coventry point of view. And the biggest frustration, once again, is Carrick went with the same front two, which clearly did not work against Millwall. He went with Crooks as the 10, he went with Rodgers up front, and I just cannot bang the drum more to Carrick. Rodgers is not a number 9. When he started dropping deeper in the second half, Borough were miles better. You know, there was a moment where he ran. He picked the ball up from deep. He ran at about 4 Coventry defenders. He beat them all and put a shot just wide. He set up the Silvera chance by picking up the ball, winning it, driving through the box and playing the ball across. He is not a striker who should be up top, trying to make runs in behind and trying to wait for the ball to come into him. He is the man who should pick up the ball in the number 10 position and try and bring players into play. Try and, shift the defence. He should not be playing up front. And Crooks, again, in the number 10, does not work. So Carrick, please, for the love of God, stop playing Crooks as a 10. Stop playing Rodgers up front. He's so much better, as the 10. And you bring Force in up top, or someone else, just not Rodgers. It's clear in them positions that whatever we've tried to do again today didn't work at Millwall, and it didn't work again today. As for the subs, Force come on, Howson come on. Force, I think, had a shot second half. But, some of the substitutes we made had a small impact. I don't know why he waited 81 minutes to bring on McGree. Colburn come on again. Him and Vandenberg didn't have as much time to really make an impact. But there's not much else you can really say about the Borough team right now. There's just still clear holes in the pitch which we have to fill. And until we do, we're going to struggle. But regardless, he needs to stop playing Rodgers up front and Crooks as the 10. We are going to get a striker in. Lati Lathe is, I believe, close to coming in. He's a striker, I believe, and then we've got a left back in coming as well. So we've got signings to come in, which is good, but still, regardless, Borough need to find a way of breaking teams down. We need to find a way of scoring goals again, and we need to find a way of becoming that attacking force we were last season, because we've went from being a team that was shaky at the back but could get ourselves out of trouble by scoring goals at the other end, to a team that's just as, if not more shaky at the back because of our fullbacks, and having nothing up front. It is not a good combination to have, and it's one we need to knock on the head pretty darn quickly. So, that's where we are at the moment. Well, I'm looking at the league table now. At the moment, QPR must be winning, so Borough Well, just looking at the live scores on FootMob, this might change by the time the 3 o'clockers have finished, but Borough are currently bottom of the league. So that, and I'm sure fans will be absolutely losing their marbles over this on Twitter, but we've got fixtures coming up which hopefully we can pick up results from. Huddersfield and QPR at home are games we simply have to win, sort of just get rid of the negativity and get some momentum going. But yeah, as it stands, Borough are well behind the teams we're trying to compete with. We need to bring the signings in quickly, and we need to find a way of getting back to the old Borough from last season, because at the moment we're having another slow start. It's not anything worth panicking over, because we proved last season we had a terrible start. We were in the bottom 3 come August and we still finished where we did, so there's no reason to overreact. But at the moment it's a really poor start. Form has carried over from last season, and we need to make signings quickly to try and catch up to our rivals and start to build some momentum, because yeah, at the moment it's been a pretty dire start to the season, and we need to sort it out quickly. So that's my thoughts on Borough's defeat to Coventry. Scoreline was harsh, but I don't think we deserved to get anything from the game, really. Missing crucial chances at crucial times, with the same clear gaps in the squad that we have to fill over the next few weeks. But do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys, if you're a Borough fan or not, what you think of the club at the moment and where we need to improve. Subscribe for more if you're new. I do obviously Project Borough's after every Borough game, as well as talking about the Championship in and around other games as well. Comment below your thoughts as always. As I say, big thank you for watching. Do take care. And I'll see you all next time.